Well, hello there, and welcome to the FOX6 Sports Blitz on a fabulous Sunday night, especially if you are a Packers fan. I'm Brandon Cruz in our Milwaukee studios. Tim Van Vorn and Lily Zhao live in Chicago, where all the action unfolded today. We will get to that. Let's get with our starting lineup first. Raise your hand if you thought the Packers would win. Can they strike gold again next week? Splash Mountain makes us say what? The NBA sends condolences to the Bucks, and we hit the links with this week's high school hotshot.
And it's blocked! Oh my goodness, the Packers block it, and they're gonna win!
Please. Oh, there it is. A moment in time that is not going to be forgotten for a long time. Carl Brooks raising that hand just high enough and just in the way of Cairo Santos' field goal attempt to block it and send the Packers home winners 20-19. Tim, this is a moment that the Packers were prepared for. This is why you look at film. This is why you work on things through the week in practice, because you see a weakness. How big of a deal is it that they were able to exploit something they saw with the Bears in that situation?
If you're a special teams coordinator like Rich Bisaccia, how often can you really trace what you do to impact a game? Sure, the returns are good or the punting is good. You look at the overall stats. This is a game-winning play. Rich Bisaccia is the special teams coordinator for the Packers. They did intense study during the week of the video. They identified some weakness on the interior of the Chicago Bears offensive line. Bisaccia told his team he expected them to get a block. He'd be surprised if they didn't. Lo and behold, they do. I guess high and behold they do to win the game.
And Lily, when you look at the Packers getting into this situation, it was one that you kind of felt was coming with the way this game unfolded. How did they get here before the great play by Brooks to save them?
Right. You talk about, how did they get here, right? There was that, well, shouldn't say controversial, but there was that decision by Matt LaFleur to go for it on fourth down instead of kicking a field goal that would have got the Packers within 2 points of the Chicago Bears. They elect not to do that, turn the ball over, so now you're playing for a touchdown instead of a field goal. But what the Packers were able to do, though, they were able to go down the field, they were able to score that touchdown, and that gave the Packers defense some time to close out this game, and they let, the Chicago Bears drive all the way down the field. And fortunately, Chicago did not try to get one extra play to get Cairo Santos a little bit closer to the goal line there, so making that field goal a little bit easier for him, perhaps, and that is why they were in that situation. The Bears elected not to get an extra play, so that gave the Packers defense a chance to block that field goal, because had he been closer, this might have been a different story. But fortunately for Green Bay, he had to kick where he had to kick from, and Carl Brooks got in there. He said he manifested blocking the field goal, got his paw up there, and got just the tip of the football, and that was enough to win the game for the Packers.
And Tim, this defense was out there a long time, and they were running a lot, because when you look at Caleb Williams, he ran a lot. He ran 9 times for 70 yards, but they spent 36 minutes, even a little more than that, on the field. They had to have been worn out and just couldn't find ways to stop them at key times. For instance, 3rd down and 4th downs.
I agree with you. Jair Alexander going out after starting in the game, not starting, but playing some in the first half. That hurt them. Another man's down. You're just a short player there. Maybe Thomas Brown and rookie quarterbacks are just the Packers' kryptonite. Last year was Bryce Young. Panthers didn't do anything all year with that combination, and they got the Packers. This time it's Caleb Williams, but you're right, Brandon. The running seemed to wear out the Packers. And then Williams, who's not known as a clutch passer, made clutch passes.
Yeah, he was able, Lily, to find receivers, especially DJ Moore quite often, or Roma Dunze, whenever he needed to get bailed out. And he was releasing the ball so fast that it really seemed to limit the Packers' ability to put pressure on him.
Exactly, and that's exactly why this Bears offense was so efficient on 3rd and 4th down. On the money downs, Caleb Williams was making those plays that you see veteran quarterbacks make, right? He was evading pressure, getting out of the pocket, and finding open receivers or getting the first down with his legs. So he was doing the right job for the Bears, just to move them and get them in field goal range to set up a potential game-winning field goal for them. So he was doing a good job there, but the Packers defense couldn't get off the field on money down, and the Bears were also 3 for 3 on 4th down, which is also not not a good stat to have.
Yeah, that was critical to me. If you look at how this game became a losable game, was the fact that they could not stop the Bears and force punts, and ended up allowing the Bears to have such long drives that generally ended with points or with a positive result for them. Now let's switch gears to the offensive side. Jordan Love, an up and down day again, Tim. We see a great pass to Jaden Reed for a touchdown to open up the game, and then he kind of regressed after that for a long time.
And I would say that's partly why this was a losable game, too. The Packers' offense just too quiet, just too unproductive. You have to put points on the board. They average about 25 points a game. They didn't get there in this contest. If they got there, it wouldn't be a game. They get that early touchdown and then just quiet, Brandon. You're exactly right. Not many possessions. They go the over with the Jordan Love interception at the goal line. It was just a negative first half for that Packer offense. And quite honestly, after the bye week, almost inexcusable, despite Chicago having a good defense.
Yeah, Lily, did it seem like they were prepared to do something offensively? Because it just didn't look like it. I mean, if you look at just the touches that Jaden Reed had in this game, 3 touches, 1 run, 2 passes. That was it. I mean, we are used to seeing Jaden Reed in this offense early and often, and then you add Tucker Kraft, who really didn't play a factor in this at all.
Right. I think outside of that opening drive, I think I was optimistic after watching that with just how clean they looked and just how clean they played. I was optimistic, but then as the game wore on, it's looking like, it's the same old Packers who didn't look like they were coming off a bye week, having done a self-scout. And you're right, Jaden Reed, a playmaker for this Packers offense, didn't get the ball much. He got the ball a couple times, but didn't really make a big positive gain outside of that touchdown catch he had. And Tucker Kraft, of course, not really making an impact today. Of course, Jordan Love targeting him potentially for a touchdown, and that ball gets picked off. So, you need to get these guys involved in the offense if you want to see it flourish. But outside of that, those red zone issues come back to plague the Packers, and it's not a sustainable way to win, especially as the year goes on, and especially when these games become more valuable when you want to make a playoff push.
Well, one of the players that did get a lot of touches and did play a key role in moving this offense along, Tim, was Josh Jacobs, both receiving and running the ball. He had 134 yards. He ran for a touchdown. How big is his role now becoming in the passing game as we see some of the others, at least today, not being involved as much?
Josh Jacobs is as reliable as anybody in that Packer offense. I think you have to look at it that way. Jordan Love's been up and down. Kraft erased today. Jaden Reed, the touchdown, with those run plays going absolutely nowhere. Well designed by the Bears defense against it. And we talked about the receivers just inconsistent other than Christian Watson. So Josh Jacobs is really reliable. You can count on him. He keeps banging away. He'll get you 1 yard. All of a sudden he gets you 8 yards. After a while, that takes its toll on the opposing defense.
Yeah, and you mentioned Christian Watson. Without him, the Packers definitely lose this game, Lily. And he was key in that final drive. And it was an effort that was incredible. A diving catch, the wherewithal to get up and run as he goes 60 yards in all the way down to the Bears 14. But that wasn't the only play he made today.
Certainly, and even when you're talking about that 6-yard catch, of course, the Bears reviewed it, but Christian Watson told us afterwards, I was confident I got the catch. I got my hands under the football. I knew that was a catch, and of course, that set up the Packers to win the game. But the drive before that, he made a 48-yard catch, and that is the drive where the Packers got first and goal at the 8, had 4 tries from the 8-yard line, and couldn't punch in the football. They turned it over on down. So he made a spectacular play on the drive before that to set this offense up to add some more points on the board. So if the Packers don't have his catching abilities today, 4 catches for a career-high 150 yards, they might be talking about a win today, Brandon.
But the fact is they are talking about a win. They sit at 7-3. In come the 5-5 49ers, who, get this, at home taking on Seattle, who'd been floundering, and they lose by giving up a late touchdown to Geno Smith with only 12 seconds to go in this one. So they end up losing at home 20-17. So when you see the Niners coming in at 5-5, losing at home, what does that do for the Packers, or does it do anything? Does it have any effect, Tim, on what's to come next week?
I'm sure Matt LaFleur will just relax and take it easy. Don't you think?
Right.
He won't be caught up in this matchup at all. I think it's the pot is still going to be stirred quite a bit this week with Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, the history between these two teams, and Brock Purdy now has been called into some question as how effective he can be a quarterback. The Packers had plenty of trouble with Caleb Williams today, so I wouldn't be taking anything easy if I'm the Packers next week. They escaped today. They need to build upon it.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Purdy throws for a touchdown, runs for a touchdown, also throws an interception, and he has struggled leading the 49ers in key drives late. Today they give up a late drive that turns into a touchdown and a loss for them. So we will see what happens next Sunday here on Fox 6 at Lambeau Field for a 3:25 kickoff. Well, get this. The Badgers have fired offensive coordinator and quarterback coach Phil Longo. Now remember, he's the architect of the air raid offense. In a statement, head coach Luke Fickell said basically this is something that they don't believe that he could lead them any further. And we was talking about it was being in the best interest of the team to move forward. Well, they have moved forward, and we will see who starts making play calls for them as they head to Nebraska next weekend. Well, coming up, we will have Say What and be talking a little bit about the Bucs, who also are having their issues.
Giannis walks right into it. It's his night! It's his night!
Do I vote? I don't even know if I vote for.
You really want to ask that question out of the gate?
I just like getting people's attention with something.
My significant other think he's sexy, so.
Wow. That was interesting. Was that Taylor Swift?
I'm not well versed enough in the English language or unfortunately any other language to find new ways to describe Giannis's brilliance.
It's amazing that a Stanford alum can't come up with the words to describe a man who is on top of his game still in the NBA, guys. Giannis scoring 59 the other night. Then he gets his first triple-double of the season the next time on the floor. But the Bucs only go 1-1 in those games. How much, Lily, can Giannis shoulder the load as this team is still trying to find room without Damian Lillard, who's been in concussion protocol, and Chris Middleton, who hasn't even seen the court?
I mean, it's been two really close games against opponents you would expect the Bucs to normally beat, right? He scored 59 points against the Pistons, and they needed every single one of those 59 points from Giannis to win that game against Detroit. And he's shouldering the load there, especially in that first quarter. He had 22 of their 24 points against the Hornets. He's doing his best, getting a triple-double and just doing as much as he can to help this Bucs team win. But, of course, that game, they do end up losing by 1 point. So he's doing as much as he can, but they just need more production outside of him when Damian Lillard is out. The effort showing there, but again, they're not getting enough scoring outside of Giannis without Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton.
And he's doing it all, even on defense. Here he is at the end of the game against Charlotte, and he makes a great defensive play, yet he gets whistled for a foul. Those free throws end up being the difference in the game, Tim. It also, he got called for a foul in the final second in their win over the Pistons. So are the referees looking at him a little too closely with everything he's trying to do?
You wonder. He clearly didn't follow LaMelo Ball, no question about it. The Pistons play a little more questionable, hard to tell, but in there at the end, right down to the wire, how many key minutes is this guy going to play? And Doc Rivers was also complaining he didn't get enough calls for Giannis going to the line in Charlotte. So Giannis is the point person on all this stuff, Brandon. Sometimes for, sometimes against when you factor in the officials.
Yeah, now the NBA did say, they made a mistake. That was the wrong call to make. But what does that mean when you still have a loss? And also you had Doc Rivers very upset about that. He vocalized that and then got fined $25,000 for those comments. So we'll see what the Bucs do as they move forward. Well, March Madness in November, it looked really good on Friday night for the Badgers. They upset number 9 Arizona in Madison in blowout style. John Tonji dropping 41 points. They win by 15. Marquette, also ranked, goes on the road and beats Maryland. So a good weekend for the top 2 teams in the state. We'll be right back with our high school hotshot. Well, thanks for staying up late with us here tonight on the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. Her last name might draw a direct connection to her sport here in southeastern Wisconsin, but it's her drive and commitment that has her in the forefront. Meet this week's high school hotshot.
My name is Ava Roche. I'm a junior at DSHA, and I am on the varsity golf team. The first time I swung a golf club, I was actually using the left-handed set of golf clubs because I write left-handed, so everyone thought I would be fully left-handed, but we soon figured out that I was right-handed. Well, my dad is a professional golf instructor, so he just kind of introduced it to us, but he kind of let us make the decision if we wanted to take it seriously or not. Yeah, I think we'd both say that golf is our main sport. Yeah, I think that a lot of people kind of just assume like, oh, they're David Roche's daughters, they should be good, but I don't think that they realize that talent is not just given and that you have to work for it. If I really want to play at the next level, then I'm going to have to put in even more work and even more time into my game. I also dance outside of school. I do tap and jazz, and it's just been a fun way to stay active and make new friends. Our team just won their second consecutive state title in school history. On the 18th hole, after I'd hit my tee shot, my coach came up to me and he said, "You can hit 22 putts on the green and we'd still win." So that's when I knew that we had the title. I did have a 3-putt on 18. I was very nervous. On June 8th, I had a medical emergency. I was playing a practice round for the state open. I felt a really sharp pain in my left side. I was having some difficulty breathing, and we ended up going to the emergency room, and they found out that my left lung had collapsed. So then they kind of rushed me into an operating room. As I walked up to the tee on the 18th hole, I just kind of thought to myself, I was just so lucky that I was able to make the recovery that I did from earlier that summer. My name is Ava Roche. I'm a junior at DSHA, and I am a 2-time state golf champion. And I am this week's FOX6 High School Hotshot.
Individually, Ava finished in the top 10 both years at state. She also competes in many junior PGA events where she's finished on top of the leaderboard a number of times. Well, the high school football playoffs reached level 4 on Friday. Our top play comes from the Muskego-McWanago game with under 6 minutes to go. The Warriors down 16-14, looking to take the lead. Mason Kelly throwing deep, but he's picked off by Brady Hosnaki, sealing the win for Muskego. So here's who will be battling for a state title at Camp Randall this week. Thursday in Division 6, Lamira will meet up with Grantsburg at 1 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, the Division 4 championship features Racine St. Catherine's looking to complete a perfect season facing Baldwin Woodville. Friday, Division 3 starts the action with Catholic Memorial taking on Notre Dame. Slinger and Rice Lake follow that up for the Division 2 title. Then it's Muskego trying to find one more week of magic against Bayport in Division 1. Lily Zhao will be there for all of the action as the gold balls will be handed out. The Division I State Girls Swimming Championships held at Waukesha South over the weekend. Junior Ella Antonuski leading her team, Waukesha South McWanago, to the 200 freestyle by more than a second. She wins. She also takes the 500 freestyle for her 6th state title in 3 years. In the 200-yard individual medley, Germantown's Julia Saxman claims the gold medal with a time of 2 minutes, 1.54 seconds. But she wasn't done, winning double gold after also taking the 100-yard butterfly by a second and a half. At the diving championships, Kendall Rummel from Divine Savior Holy Angels wins the 1-meter championship, just beating out Germantown's Finn Langley. Well, we'll look at the week ahead when we come back. Well, here we go. Next Sunday, already a big day to look forward to. The Packers hosting the 49ers. It's a 3:25 kickoff. You can see the game right here on Fox 6, and we will be following that up with a special edition of Fox 6 News with live reaction from Lambeau Field. Let's get back out to Chicago. Tim and Lily, we have about a minute left. Lily, quickly, what are your concerns about this team this week as they get ready for the Niners?
I think it's whether or not they can clean up the mistakes that we know they have, right? The drops, the penalties, hurting themselves. Can they right the ship on all 3 of those aspects? If so, they might be able to beat the Niners. And
Tim, what does Matt LaFleur have to do to kind of get past his Kyle Shanahan issues?
They have to play better football. He has to in this matchup, and they have to in general this season. Still waiting to get it going. Last week, the Chiefs survived on a blocked field goal, couldn't sustain it, lost this week. The Packers survive on a blocked field goal. They need to play better to build forward.
All right, Tim Van Voren, Lily Zhao, live in Chicago. I'm Brandon Cruz. We will see you next Sunday night.